Right, we're going to put the barrel and piston on. A bit more lube. I've already lubed the cylinder up. I'm just putting a little bit extra in. And then I put the new pistons together, put the rings on, etc. And they do look a bit nicer than the old ones. Right, I'll just get some lube on these. Lube in where the piston pin's going to go through. Right, I'll just find my rag. Right, next thing that I'll be doing is I'll just get a bit of lube off there. Lube up the new cylinder base O-ring. Push that into place. And what I do is work out which way I want me pin to slide in, and then basically put the piston in. Making a bit of a cat's ass of this. Right, made a bit of an ass of that. I won't know until I watch the video back whether you even saw half of that. But normally, because I'm not filming stuff, I'm usually off at top of my piston and it goes a lot smoother than that. Alright, let's lube up this pin. Plenty of lube. Right, I'm just going to put a bit of lube in the bushing in the top of the con rod. Right, and I'll knock you off. I'll get you set up in a different place and we'll get this put on. Right, and you can see this. Let's move that rod. You've got a locating dowel just there and it has an O-ring on it. So I'll just grab the new O-ring. A dab of assembly lube. Just push your O-ring over the top of the locating dowel. It sits in a little recess at the bottom of the dowel. Just make sure you've got the O-ring in. And it's in place. Right, the next thing we'll do is we'll get the piston on the nut. So, just locate the piston over the rod, and with your fingers up underneath you can feel and that's it through. Push it all the way through, and if you rotate the crank a little bit, you can then push that all the way home. Grab my rag. And as you can see there, it's your piston. So I'll just sit that back down there. What I'll do, I'll just knock it off a second and just move it. Right, what you've got here, I should have said this when I was putting it on, there's an arrow on top of your piston. Now this is a standard piston, it's not any fancy aftermarket super tuned job or out like that, it's just a box standard Harley piston. 22095/99B if you're interested. The arrow, when you put it on, wants to be facing the front of the engine, and then you know you've got your piston in the right way. Right, and I've also just made a big boo-boo, so I'll just knock it off a second and then we'll set you back up and I'll show you how I've fucked up. Now, this is what happens when you're not concentrating. If I hadn't noticed this and tried to run it, it probably wouldn't have lasted very long. I've just got to carefully pull this up without pulling the piston right out, which is easier said than done. Right, any of you eagle-eyed people out there, make sure you can see that, I'll have noticed that I never put the spring clip in the end of the piston pin. Now, as I was saying, if I tried to run that, God knows how long it would have lasted. I could have been lucky and it not been an issue. I find that very hard to believe. What would have happened is the pin would have worked its way along. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm just blocking up all the holes, because the last thing you want to do at this point is drop a spring clip down in your bottom end. So always close all your holes up. Yeah, what would have happened is the pin, over a few strokes, would have worked its way out to the side and just scored the bollocks right out the side of the cylinder, which really isn't what you want. Right, so don't forget to put your clip back in. Doing this wrong way around. And just make sure that your clip is all the way home, sitting in its groove properly. And one good test, you just find the end of it and just try and spin it. If it moves, you haven't got it in properly. Right, and that's that in. So don't do what I just did. Concentrate on what you're doing, and don't forget to put booking parts on, because your engine really won't last 5 minutes. Just lube up the base of the piston. And then once you've got it right, you can put it all back together. So, handy little clip there, how to do it the wrong way and how to do it the right way. Doing it the right way is the much more preferable way of doing it. Right, I'll knock you off for now, we'll get this rear cylinder sorted, ready to go on. Right, just ready to put this back cylinder on. I've already put the O-ring on the dowel, lubed up the pin bush, piston's already in the barrel, so it's just a case of lifting it in place. It does help if you don't push the piston through while you're trying to get the thing lined up. Right, I'll start that again. As I said before, just feel with your fingers. You can sort of feel when it's going through, just push the pin home, and this time I'll put the clip in. Just make sure it's all the way in, so try and move it. Right, just put a bit of lube on this piston skirt. that's your rear cylinder in place. Right, I'll just knock you off a second. Right, what I've just done is I've got the short head bolts and some sockets, just like sockets for taking bolts off, just to use as spacers. Now these I've put on and they're just finger tight. I haven't tightened them down with a wrench or out like that, they're just finger tight. And the reason I've done that is I'm going to turn the engine over and I don't want the cylinders rocking. So I've just put them on just to hold them, and as I say, they're only finger tight. So I'm just going to turn this motor over a couple of times. Right, I don't know if you can see so well, there's a rim of oil around the top of the cylinders, and it's the same on the front one. What I'll do is I'll just wipe the excess oil out. There's plenty of oil on the bore still. Right, I'll knock you off for now and we'll get on to the next bit.